After winning Anaheim, McGrath was knocked flat with the flu. No practice, no training for the entire week. Now, possibly the inactivity led to a rare McGrath error. Watch what happens at the start of his heat race. Caught in the gate, McGrath for the first time went to the semifinals to qualify. Now, the center of attention in the opening heat was again Guy Cooper. The fan favorite came from off the pace to gain a qualifying position. Now here he is just disposed of Jimmy Button, number 25, and Steve Lamson, number 21. He was after the leader Jeff Matasevich when he took this spill. Now was Cooper destined to the semifinals with McGrath? No! Watch the great inside line and the spectacular pass to overtake Brian Swink and Mike Kidrowski. Cooper worked up to third and went to the main event. The crowd loved it. Second heat race provided action as good as it gets. Stanton was the leader, then LaRocco was the leader. And finally, Damon Bradshaw will be the leader. Now Stanton seemed content to make the main, but LaRocco had visions of winning until Bradshaw slammed the door. Now at the finish line, it was Bradshaw, Stanton and LaRocco, but watch Bradshaw. You suppose that's the universal #1 sign that he gave LaRocco? By the time the gate dropped for the main event, Jeremy McGrath was back in form. No mistakes. McGrath took the lead. He was followed by Kawasaki's Michael Craig, Jeff Stanton, Brian Swink, and then the Honda rider, Steve Lamson. Brian Swink, rider number 19, made the first aggressive move. You'll recall that Swink was the 1992 125cc Eastern Regional champ. Well, he had not lived up to the standards that were being set by his counterpart in the West, Jeremy McGrath. But he pulled alongside Jeff Stanton. Stanton, though, would hold his line. For the better part of a lap, the two riders battled side by side, neither willing to give away for the runner-up position. It would be off the finish line jump that Brian Swink would finally pull away. Now, once clear of Stanton, Swink quickly caught Michael Craig. Coming out of the Stanton battle, Swink was full of momentum and confidence. Craig was no match for the former 125 Eastern champ. At this point, the running order was Jeremy McGrath, Brian Swink, and Michael Craig, but watch the upcoming Michael Craig bobble. There it is. Jeff Stanton had no problem sweeping by Craig to take over the number 3 position. He did, however, have trouble holding it. On lap number 10, Damon Bradshaw, who was 8th after the first lap, pulled alongside Stanton, then completed the pass. Now, it appeared at that point that Bradshaw was on the way. He was definitely catching Swink, who was in second place, and McGrath, who was out front. Behind Bradshaw, Mike LaRocco moved to the rear wheel of Stanton. Now, this was the battle for the number 4 position. It was McGrath, Swink, Bradshaw, then Stanton, and LaRocco. Now, a fallen rider on the racetrack forces Stanton to go wide. LaRocco cuts to the inside, and he takes over 4th place. The brass mechanic, meanwhile, had visions of a second straight win. Brian Swink had other ideas. The pair of 125 champs battled for several laps. Now coming up, the closest Swink would get. He made the pass, but his momentum carried him high in the corner. McGrath shot to the inside to regain the number 1 position. Now while that was going on, Bradshaw and LaRocco were fighting over third. LaRocco made the pass. He goes to the winner's rostrum for a 3rd place finish. McGrath claimed the checkered flag for the 2nd week in a row. Brian Swink had a last lap pass up his sleeve, but it never materialized. Here's Swink.
I rode as good as I could. I started like maybe 4th. I came up, McGrath had a little lead, and then I finally caught up to him. Was going to try making a move last few laps. I figured he'd get tired, and I was riding strong. And one of the lappers got in front of me, wouldn't let me by, and threw me 3 or 4 seconds behind him, and the race is over.
Here are the championship point standings after Seattle. With a win, Jeremy McGrath went into the points lead. For Cooper, the magic ran out in the main event. The Oklahoma rider hit the ground hard. In addition to severe dirt rash, he suspected a broken collarbone.
Went down once, got back up, trying to still make a good race out of a bad start, and went down again, that time trying to make a triple out of something, and it hurt pretty bad on that one, and so I was out for the night.